All right, so we're recording, and I'm going to admit people as they come in. I want to respect everyone's time. I'd also ask if you can. If you can't, I certainly understand, but if you can, turn your cameras on so that you're fully engaged. Also, turn off your cell phones, put them away, put them down, because this is going to be amazing information. I just think the world of Michael and what he's accomplished and what he's done. And I'm just so glad and grateful that he's able to spend time with us to do this. He's got a lot of people in his group there on this call. And I just think that it's amazing that somebody can be so successful working full-time. And I would think every agent that hasn't capped, and you know what, capping is a big deal. Capping is usually about 25 to 30% of any brokerage that has a cap or doesn't have a cap. It's basically just that, you know, the group of agents that are successful. And then Icon is even a smaller group. And at Icon, I think at EXP, I'm going to guess for about 3,000 icons. Is that about right, Michael? You think?
It's less than 2%.
Yeah, so out of 88,000 agents, that's a big deal. But even capping is a big deal too, because it's about, like I said, usually 25 to 30% of any brokerage, no matter what size. And then another 25 to 30% are middle, sales agents. And then the other one is, brand new agents of a brokerage. So it's kind of a mix on all brokerages. All right, well, let's get started. So it's 5 minutes after the hour, and I want to respect everyone's time. So today is July 19th, 2023, and we're interviewing, having a conversation with Michael Wilches in New Jersey. So let's get started. I've given him some questions that I wanted to ask, and Michael, also feel free to add anything in that you think of that I didn't ask you. But first of all, when did you get started? I know you joined EXP in 2019. Is that right?
Yeah. So I can give my bio in like 2 minutes.
Okay, go.
So first of all, before even real estate, I was a registered nurse. I started nursing back in 2012. So for 10 years, I've been a registered nurse. And then in 2016, I met a buddy in the ICU who introduced me to this podcast called Bigger Pockets. And a lot of us here know what Bigger Pockets is. And I got fascinated by the idea of Bigger Pockets. And my first goal was to first look for a multifamily. I started looking in 2017. And then in 2019, I got the idea to get my real estate license. I got my real estate license in 2019. And I was like, if a lot of these agents that were helping me, and I felt like, they weren't the best of the best, if they could do it, why can't I? And Bigger Pockets always encourage you, if you're looking to invest for the long term, it is good to get your real estate license because it is beneficial. So I told myself in 2019, if I can't make any sales, at least I'm making the commission on my own sales. So that was my mindset back then. And when I got my license in 2019, people just started reaching out to me for help to buy a house. And originally I started at Weicker Realtors. It was a brick and mortar 60-40 split. Very old school brokerage, didn't really have much to offer. If you're in the background.
Hold on 1 second. I'm muting, and I muted you, Michael, accidentally.
All right, we're good.
Now you're back. Okay, sorry.
So where was I? So 2019, I got my license with Weicker Realtors. And after 5 months, I wasn't fully in love with it. And then I started looking around for something better. And then I met Darren Sager, who introduced me to EXP Realty. At the time, it just it sounded too good to be true. I thought it was a prank or something. But it was 80-20, $16,000 cap. And I hear this echo in the background. Let me mute that first. Or there you go. All right. So in 2019, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, good. So I got my license, and only blanked out.
Met
Darren, and then that's when it all clicked for me. I joined EXP in 2019 of September.
Wow, it seems like yesterday in a way.
Yeah.
And so you were working full-time as a nurse and joined EXP and going through COVID, frontline worker, essential worker and everything. I just think that must have been stressful working full-time, especially as a nurse, and then doing a real estate business, right?
Yeah, so 2019, I was helping a few buyers looking for homes. My goal was to eventually quit nursing, but then 2020, we all got hit with the pandemic. And believe it or not, helping people in 2020 find homes was a big stress reliever for me because I was working in New York City in the epidemic of everything. I was in New York City, Columbia Presbyterian, working in the COVID ICU. I was seeing people die left and right. I mean, even the morgue guy was the guy who picks up the bodies. He was like, every hour I'm picking up a new body. And it was just, it was a lot. You know, I was having a lot of nightmares at the time. And what was helping me cope with everything was actually helping people find homes during that time. And my first year with EXP in 2020, I was able to do very well because of that motivation I had to just help people find homes. And then when COVID hit, I just didn't see myself doing nursing forever. So yeah.
So how did you juggle the time working full-time, another job, especially nurse, and then the stress of all that? But how did you manage the time to be so successful at real estate and all your time is also working a full-time job?
Good question. In 2020, I didn't do a good job. Like it was basically just trying to just squeeze everything with every minute I had. You know, I was working 13-hour shifts at the hospital. Was working 13 shifts a month. So every little time I had, any free time I had, I was just dedicating it to real estate. So even during my lunch breaks at work, I would just dedicate it to help, like sending people homes. There was times where my managers came up to me. She's like, "Please don't do that real estate at work." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." I pulled my laptop down, and once the manager went away, I went back on the MLS. So I knew my end goal was to eventually leave nursing. So I was willing to risk a lot at the time, always at the safety of my patients. You know, I worked in the ICU, so a lot of my patients were sedated, intubated, and a lot of it was just closely monitoring, making sure that blood pressures didn't dip or anything. So
Sure.
once things got settled and all stuff, but yeah, it was not easy. But in 2021, I got a coach, and my coach told me, "Let me see your calendar," and that's when I was just like kind of winging it. I just had to-do lists. But when I had a coach in 2021, he told me to work on a calendar. And that's when I got the idea of like time blocking, putting everything into time blocks. And that's when really things started just shooting up for me.
So you believe in time blocking, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sundays at 6 or Monday mornings, I try to time block for the week. If you look at my calendar right now, Mondays and Fridays are time blocked for until December, already time blocked for cold calling. Cold calling FSBOs, whether it's cold calling, circle prospecting. I already have door knocking on my calendar from now till December. Like it's already there. I just have to hold myself very accountable to my calendar.
Why do you think it's important to block all that out instead of just like, okay, I'm going to, do something on Friday and I'm going to do this on tomorrow? Or why do you think that's important to do that?
For me, I think it's if you don't already have it on your calendar, it's never really going to happen. I think if you just try to wing it, weeks are going to go by, months are going to go by, and all these things that were on your to-do list will always be on your to-do list. So unless you time block it and there's times where like I don't do what I do, and then I was like, okay, let me reschedule this to sometime in my calendar so I could get it done. So it just holds you more accountable. You're more aware of what you have to do because there's so many things as a realtors we have to do. I mean, it depends on how you want to structure your business and what you want to do. But if you're like me, where you have a little bit on social media, you have a little bit on door knocking, all that, it's very important to put it all on your calendar and make sure that it all happens.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And that is, there's a saying, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. And that is so true. You mentioned the coach. Have you found that valuable? Do you wish you would have started coaching earlier, or, how do you value the coach situation?
Yeah, I mean, another thing about me is I used to compete in bodybuilding back in 2019. So from a very early age, I knew the value of having a coach and holding you accountable. So yeah, I wish I started in 2019 with a coach, but I guess I was just trying to save money at the time. But once I invested into a coach, that's when things got better. And then this year, I'm with the Tom Ferry ecosystem. So I'm being coached by Tom Ferry and some of the coaches there. And that's what's really helping me boost my business to the next level.
Okay, good. So what do you say to people? Because I know you also, coach your group as well. What do you say to people when they say they can't afford a coach?
There's different. So the coach I had back in 2021, he wasn't part of the Tom Ferry. He was more of a not small time, but he's more of a local coach, and he did a really good job. It much more affordable. There are coaches out there that are more affordable, and if you can't afford someone for like a weekly basis, then do it on a monthly or some kind of schedule where you can meet someone, and then they will hold you accountable to what you've been doing. So try to find someone in your budget. And then, back in 2020, 2021, I could afford Tom Ferry if I wanted to, but it was definitely harder. So this year that I'm doing much better and I don't have nursing as that it's holding me back, I can afford for the Tom Ferry coaching.
Right. And I think to add to that is there's all kinds of coaching available, group coaching, free coaching, everything. It's just people, if it's important to them, they're going to make it happen, right? And you're going to put it there. And I can't tell you how many people will say, oh yeah, I meant to do that, but this happened or whatever. And, it's just interesting. What you focus on expands is another phrase that I like that we all use. And it's just so true, and then some people say, well, I know what to do. Well, then why aren't you doing it? It kind of comes down to that. And the honest truth is because we get pulled in different directions and everything. And you're right. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist and it doesn't get done. I want
to add to that.
Yeah.
Even if you can't afford the coaching or you just, your finances are really tight, I think within our organization, like you pulled me aside this year, and I think I'm going to do that on a yearly basis where I just meet up with you for 30 minutes over an hour over Zoom. Even if it's just once a year, you held me you told me what to do. You laid out a lot, and that was free. That was something that you provided for free. And same thing I offer to my organization. If someone wants to get on a 30-minute, 1 hour Zoom call, that, I'm a few steps ahead of a lot of people in my organization, and they can do that for free. So there is some type of coaching that you can get, and that's the value that we have here at EXP.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because you're right. Every conversation can add some kind of value. And speaking of coaching, there's one thing that we have that if everybody that we have available is on Tuesdays with my coach, mine and Doug's coach, Sean Kokoska, does a Zoom call he's interviewing a top agent, and that's free. And it's a link you can just join in on. And everybody on this call, if you're with EXP, we've got your name, as long as it doesn't say like cell phone or something. And Chris is taking down all that. We'll send you information to it for that call. If you're not, then please email me. My email's chuck@chuckkeller.com, and then I'll get you the link to that call. It's a free call, and it's great because you need some kind of coaching that will just give you more information, more ideas. Okay, so let me ask you a big question. What motivates you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what motivates me is I grew up, I didn't grow up with a real estate family. I didn't really grow up with wealth or anything. I grew up with a single mom, and my single mom was raising me and my sister. So that's what motivates me. Seeing my mom raise my sister and I when we were like growing up, it was rough. Like, I didn't realize how hard my mom had it until I got older and
Right.
and saw like I have some financial struggles, but it's nothing compared to having what my mom went through. Like growing up in Queens, New York, making minimum wage, having 2 kids, like that's what motivates me, and that's what pushes me to like be better, because it's like my mom was able to do it under those conditions. I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I'm healthy. I would, I can do a lot of things that my mom couldn't do, and I have the time to educate myself. So might as well just like really go beyond and above. I think we're all put in this world to be great and help others. So
Good. That's good. Yeah, it's very good. It's just there's just no excuses, right? I mean, no matter where we are, what we have. We can all do it. We all have 24 hours, and it's how we manage it. And
Yeah.
and what has always really impressed me with you is that you had 24 hours, and it was very limited in what you were doing with the job and also working. And by the way, if anybody has any questions, put them in the chat as we're going through this, and I'll look at those, but we may answer some of your questions as we're going through. Okay, where do you get your clients?
All right. Where do I get my clients? So it's changed throughout the years. Back in 2019, 2020, it was mostly just Instagram. I was just solely posting on Instagram, and that's where I got most of my leads. As I progressed and I've gotten better, I built confidence. Then I started cold calling. I cold calls for FSBOs. I actually just got, we're about to get an offer accepted on a FSBO that I cold called from a few weeks ago, and we listed it last week. So FSBOs is one of my things. Circle prospecting. I love circle prospecting and just calling people in the area. Instagram. I think if for those that are new or looking to build a name for yourself, it's definitely very important to. I think someone just needs to mute themselves. I keep hearing some staticky noise.
Let me mute everybody, and then you unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. We're good. So social media. So Instagram, Facebook. My first listing came from a Facebook message. My first house hack, well, my second house hack came from a Facebook message. So there's so much power and value in on Instagram, Facebook. Also, real estate meetups, going to meetups, meeting people. It puts you at an advantage, but because there's buyers out there, there's sellers out there, there's other realtors from other brokerages that you can bring them on if you connect with them and you feel like, you know, they bring value to you and you can bring value to them.
So how often do you post on social media?
I try to do it weekly. I know and we actually just had a Zoom mastermind with our organization on Monday with Armand, who recently joined, but he's really good with social media. So the main key things that we both had in common is we try to post every week. On Instagram, we try to post 3 times a week on our feed. Or no, sorry, not our feed, our main page, or yeah, our feed. Or if I could do it 5 days, I'll try to, but it's not easy. Eventually, I do have to give that job out to someone else. But there's another mastermind that I joined, which is by Sean Batista. He's out in Seattle. He's also with EXP. And he basically, all he does for prospecting is social media. So he basically spends 1 to 2 hours prospecting, seeing what people do. He messages his past clients, messages new clients, messages realtors, and just instead of door knocking, he's out there just sniping away on his stories. So
let me ask you too, what do you post? Where do you find your content? What do you post?
So it's a mixture of stuff. It always has some kind of meaning to real estate. So I do post the typical stuff that a lot of realtors post, which is like under contract, sold post. I do, every time I get a listing, I try to always invest into a reel because the reel is what's going to get you a lot of views out there. The reel does get exposure for the listing, and it lets all the local realtors know that this property is on the market. But also a lot of my sphere is on my social media. So like my buyers, my sellers, my future sellers, they're all on my social media. So they're watching what I'm doing. So even if it's a rental, I'm going to invest like money into doing professional photography because everyone's going to see it. You know, and not everyone reads my captions, but they see what I post. And if it looks good, they're gonna be like, okay, Mike's gonna do a great job when it comes time to selling my house. So
yeah, so you're staying top of mind. What else do you do? Anything as far as like with your past clients and sphere of influence? Do you send them anything? Do you have them on any kind of drip systems, or what do you use for that?
So it might sound tedious, but I try to do it in the holiday season, especially during like Christmas, New Year's time. I go drive to my past clients like homes and I deliver presents personally. I got this idea from a Compass agent who does very well. And even though it's very time consuming, you do this once a year during the holidays, it means the world to them. And then that's the most authentic, generic way to like really connect with them is seeing them in person, giving them a gift. So I'll normally go to like Walmart, get like a holiday box with cookies, whatever comes with the box, and I just deliver it in person. Another thing I got from another EXP agent, Peter, is Client Giant. So Client Giant, what they do is they deliver every quarter of the year, they deliver some small gift to your past sphere. I have up to 54 people on my list, and everyone gets a gift from me. It's just a reminder that, you know, I'm thinking of them. It's not very salesy. It's just like, here's a holiday gift for you. And it's always delivered to them when they least expect it. So it's delivered like end of January when no one expects a gift. So that's what I really like about Client Giant.
And what do you know about what that cost? Idea?
Yeah, so it's about $95 to $99 per person. So if you have 50 people, they give you 4 people for free. It comes out to almost like 4,500. It's a big chunk of money, but it's, to me, it's worth investing in my sphere of influence. I mean, I've gotten already tons of referrals from it. I closed a deal in Newark because of it. I closed a deal in Township of Washington because of it. So I've already made my
Right.
ROI from it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's important what you said, you take the gift personally to them, you don't ship it, which is the
Yeah.
easy thing for all of us to do. But you're right, it's that one-on-one contact. I see we're asking questions about in the chat your Instagram handle so they can follow you.
Oh, it's Michael _ EXP Realty. Very easy. Just my first name _ EXP Realty.
Okay. Good. So your first year was 2019. What's your average price point? I know it varies, of course, but what would you say your average price point is, average sale?
It's gone up. I mean, my market is northern New Jersey. We're right next to New York City. I cover mostly Bergen County. And when I started off, it was like 450, 500K. It's
Okay.
gone up to like 600K. That's the average now. It varies. I do a lot of 550 to 700K, few deals in the millions. And my biggest deal this year was 2.8 million in Alpine, New Jersey.
Wow, that's a good, that's 4 or 5 times your average,
Yeah.
What's interesting is the price point is, different in all parts of the country, in Southern California, for those of us there, it's like 1.2 is the average price point. However, we can cap on, 3 deals. You cap on what?
4 to 6.
4 to 6, yeah. And even if somebody caps on 10, I mean, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, it is. But it's just interesting that that it takes you more deals to cap than it does in some of the ones that are in some areas. So in 20, I know I gave you this question, so you'd have it. In how many transactions did you do in 2020 and 2021 and 2022?
Yeah, I wrote this one down. So 2020, I didn't really track my numbers too well, but I did about 15 home sales. In
Okay.
2020, it led to like 7 million. So my GCI that year was 128. So that was my first year. And that's why I came to EXP. My first broker at the little broker, Weicker, at the brick and mortar, it gave me a very limiting mindset answer. I was like, is it possible to sell 12 homes my first year? She's like, well, you're lucky if you get 2 or 3 deals your first year. And I didn't like that answer. I was like, because I know from social media, there was brand new agents that were doing well. So I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it too. So
Exactly.
2020 was 7 million. 2021 was 9 million. 2022 was 11.7. And then this year, I'm already at 11.3 million in July.
Okay, so when did you stop nursing and go full-time in real estate?
So I quit my full-time nursing job last year, 2022 in July. I did keep it like part-time basis, but I quit my part-time this year, January.
Okay, so I'm going to get on my soapbox here and really drill this home. If Michael can work full-time for several years until last year and do that much in income, there's no reason why anyone on this call or anyone in general that may watch this recording can't do it as well, right? If you can do it, we can do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you really got to tap into your why. For me, it was just like I wanted a different career. I wanted a different lifestyle. I wanted to be financially free, which it's crazy to think that I've achieved my financial freedom, but that's where I am right now in my life. I wanted to provide better for my family. I wanted to be a better example for my sister, Michelle. Just a lot. There's a lot of factors that push me to keep going.
So let me ask you about this. So we talk about financial freedom. So at EXP, we get stock awards, and we get stock with every sale we make. I hope every person signs up for that, because I know some people think, I don't need that, or it won't add up, or whatever. But it's 5% of your commission at a 10% discount. So what has that done for you?
Oh, it's been so drastic. I mean, at 10 years as a nurse, I've saved a certain amount of money with my 401k,
Right.
but I don't want to give numbers out, but with because I didn't put too much into my 401k because I didn't know too much about wealth back then. But
Right.
now that I understand the components of wealth and putting a little bit of money away from the richest man in Babylon, it's always good to put some kind of money away. So I believe in the EXP. I believe in the leadership here, and what's 5% of my commission going into this. So I'm very into it, and you know the money I have in ShareWorks, it's already exceeded what I've made as an RN, in my retirement. And that was 10 years.
Say that again, in case somebody was texting and they're like, oh, wait, what did he say? Say that again.
Yeah. So the money I have in my ShareWorks account is already far more than what I have in my 401k as a registered nurse. So
10 years.
in 10 years. Yeah.
That's unbelievable in a way. And I think what's interesting is all the agents all of us that were at other companies, if we were at a franchise company, we were paying 5, 6, or 7% of our commission for a franchise royalty fee and not getting anything for it. So with being at EXP, it's only 5%, and it's optional. It's not even required, but it's optional. And what you just said, I mean, it just really adds up, right?
Yeah, it's almost a 6-digit number. Very close.
Wow. And the great thing is, stock goes up, stock goes down, but over time, I can't wait to see 5 years from now and 10 years from now.
Oh yeah, me too.
But it's just like anything, you got to start now. You got to start doing it, and before long, it'll all add up. What do you do to stay motivated and inspired? I know you kind of already talked about motivation, but what do you do to stay inspired?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's because I did manage to hit a lot of my goals. A lot of my goals was to quit my full-time job, which is quit nursing, quit healthcare. Another goal of mine was to invest in multifamily. So right now I'm up to 9 units. 2 of them are triplex that are to my name, and then my third triplex with partners. So I hit a lot of my goals, and now what I do to stay motivated is I listen to a lot of podcasts, read books, but I invest now into like big events. So I go to a lot of conferences. I'm going to be going to EXP Con. I went last year, and that's where I got a lot of my motivation. That's what really inspired me for really building up my organization. And then I just came from, it's actually, I have the cup here, Limitless. It's out in Arizona. That's a real estate investor event. But I spent like $3,700 just to be with, like, I want to be always the smallest fish in the pond. I want to be in a room where I'm the little fish, and I want to learn from everyone. So just going there, seeing what's my next things, because I already tapped into the small multifamily. What's next? What do I have to do next? So it's just reinvesting into like my learning, my education, going to events, going to seminars, and just constantly reading books. Also YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of information, but so you mentioned EXPCon. So by the way, everybody know that's October 2nd through October 6th. It is in Las Vegas. So what do you say to the tickets like probably $795, something like that. And you can bring a non-EXP agent as a guest for free. So, and the hotels are, I think, about $200 at the Delano, and of course your airfare, and those that live within a few hours can drive. What do you say to that agent that's saying, I can't afford to go to that?
I really, I think I'm not a CPA, but I think it's a tax write-off because you are investing into your business. So if you're going to pay Uncle Sam, also might as well pay yourself. So that's how I see it. But speak to a CPA. I'm not, about that. But yeah, I would find the ways to make the money. Even if you have to get a credit card and put it on a credit card on 0 interest for 12, 18 months, definitely do that, because the knowledge, the people you meet there, the inspiration, the wealth of I don't know, just being in that environment really does motivate you. I loved the XPCon last year. That was the one event where I was like, wow, this company is great. So I got to meet Glenn Sanford in person. He's an awesome person. Um, yeah, I would say make it out there, because just if you're trying to build out an organization, there's some great keynote speakers like Gogo, Mike Sherrard, all the people that are really big into like building an organization. You get to learn from them personally. I spoke to Mike Sherrard personally. He gave me so many great pointers that helped me this past 6 months or 7 months to build my organization. So
Yeah, and speaking of Mike Sherrard, I saw on Workplace, it was some post or something, and he said, when he joined EXP a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, he had like 2,000 YouTube subscribers, and now he has, I don't know, like probably 80,000 or something like that. My point is that he hadn't been doing this for years, but he will probably be one of the speakers, and and just Google him and follow him on YouTube, because he has a lot of great content. But you're right. We're not accountants, so it's good to have that disclosure. But yes, anything that's involved with your business is a tax write-off. And but some agents will say, well, I don't have the money to even do that tax write-off. And I think that's where I go, you have it, you're just not finding the value. And so I'm just trying to get you to not sell, but to inspire the value to people, why they need to go to an event like that.
no.
So let me look at my list of questions here. If you were just getting started today, what would you tell yourself to focus on now that you know what to do? And what would you say to avoid or spend less time on or worrying about?
Great question. I mean, if I was to redo it all over, honestly, I think I did everything the way it was supposed to be. Like I kept my job because I needed the W-2 for the multifamilies, because I'm really big into the real estate investing too. But if I was to redo it all over, just go more heavy with social media, build a presence. Social media is so important. It gives you credibility. It gives you a network. It gives you a reputation. I mean, a lot of people in my organization joined because of my social media presence. So, it really, it lets you go farther with your organization. Sellers are watching, buyers are watching what you're doing. So go heavy on social media. I know I get a lot of people that say, oh, I just don't want to do it. Like, oh, it's not that important. Yes, it is. It's everything, especially the way things are moving with AI and all that. You have to be adaptable. It's not a question of if I should do it or not. It's like, you have to do it, because I don't fear the realtors that have been in the business 20, 30 years. I fear the realtors that are like Gen Z or alphas. Those are the ones that are going to like tap into social media, and they're going to be taking my clients because they're going to know how to use the technology to get in front of people. And then they're going to be the ones that are top of mind.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that too, because years ago, for years, I mean, I've had my license for 24 years now, but for many years, I would think everybody else knew a lot more than I did. And the more deals I did, I would realize the agent really wasn't that smart or didn't know what they were doing. And I knew more just from my involvement and everything. And so that reminds me, don't compare yourself to others, compare yourself to yourself from yesterday, because other people are just really good at faking it, or maybe our own minds are good at talking ourselves out of it. But you're right, the new agents coming are the talent for tomorrow. It's very true, and it's not the ones in the past. It's the ones that are coming, and that's a very good point. I don't think I asked you or told you I would ask you this question, but this is easy. Who are your last 5 clients, or maybe the ones you're working with? Where did those clients come from?
Okay, good question. So last week I closed on $40,000 of commission, and it came from social media, and part social media, part like social networking events. It's either from the referral network and these networking events or social media. So I did 1.7 GCI from just social media. So it's powerful.
So you're saying focus on social media if you're not doing it, right?
Absolutely, because that's what's keeping you top of mind. if you don't want to call your past fear and have conversations with them, then post so they can see you and you could stay top of mind some way. You either have to make the calls, send them texts, do client appreciation events, or go on social media, and you just have to do something. You just can't hope to be lucky and wait till something comes. Like, every single day you have to ask yourself, what can I do to be better? My motto is, get 1% better every day.
I think that's great. It's up to you, and you got to do it, and you got to pick something. And sometimes I know with me, it's like everything can just get so overwhelming, and then it's like, okay, and don't try to do it perfect. That's what a lot of us do with our sales mentality. Get it perfect before it goes out the door. No, just get it out the door and then perfect it as it goes along. It's just, it's a matter of, focusing on it and keep expanding it. So, I mean, having said that, you would recommend spending a lot of time on social media. Like, I think it should be like every day, it should be in our calendar to post something, right? To just stay in front of people.
Yeah, usually Monday nights after my Zoom mastermind, or Tuesdays in the afternoon is when I time block for content creation for social media. So it's either Instagram, and if it goes on my Instagram, it's going to go on everything. It's going to go on TikTok. It's going to go on Facebook. Because the way the algorithms are, you have to post it somewhere on all these accounts, because it's getting harder to get visibility on Instagram if you're not doing it. The less you post, the more you're digging yourself a grave. And it's harder to be present out there if you're not consistently posting every week.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm looking at some of the questions coming in. Mario is in California. He's a school teacher full-time and also a realtor. So he's asking, do you have a separate Instagram for real estate or just one account?
I created a separate one back in 2019 just because I wanted to separate my personal life from my real estate. And what I started doing is I followed everyone from my personal account with my real estate one. A lot of people didn't follow me back in the beginning, but once I started building a bigger following, that's when I unfollowed people, and then I started following my friends again. And then once I got to like 3,000, 5,000 followers, that's when people really started following me, and I built some credibility on social media.
That's good to know. I know that some people talk about on Facebook, and I know it's older, but Facebook business page as opposed to a personal page. It's just, I want everybody to realize nobody goes to your business page. They don't know there, so that's not coming up in the feed. They're seeing when you're eating somewhere or vacationing or whatever, but they're not seeing a business page. A business page is good, like as a website type thing, or a business card to show your content and post your listings, everything, so that when someone, is interviewing you or something, you could say, here's my business page, and look at it. But posting to a business page is not being seen by the public.
Yeah, I don't have a Facebook business page. I keep my personal one that I've had since high school, and my sphere is there. Why would I change it up? Like, just post there. And I still get friends. I just had a friend from high school contact me last week saying, hey man, I'm looking to buy multifamily. You really inspired me. And that was someone I didn't really talk to in high school. So
wow. And you mentioned about investment properties. So you have two personally, and then one that you bought with other people. So talk just about that. How's that? I mean, I definitely see the advantage of that, because you've got several people that are owners and sharing the expenses and responsibilities and everything. What's your mindset on that?
So for me, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts in Bigger Pockets, and it's good to have the income from real estate, but it's to be long-term wealthy, it's good to have the passive income. I'm in an appreciating market here in northern New Jersey, so I know that I buy in Bergen County. Those are where my multifamilies are, and I know the trajectory of where they're heading. So I know in 10, 20 years, these three families are going to be like double the price or more, and my rents are going up. Right now, if I don't sell a single house, I'm still okay, because my mortgages are covered by my tenants and my living expenses are covered by my tenants. And then on top of that, I have the rev share that replace my nursing monthly income, which is pretty cool. So last month I made close to 6K, and that's much more money than what I was making on a monthly basis as a full-time registered nurse.
All right, so let's talk about that. You brought it up, not me. But it's very, very close to my heart. So
Yeah.
share. What do you, I mean, so first of all, how many agents have you personally attracted or have right now?
So in my front line, I have 21 agents. And then my total rev share group is 70 agents.
Okay, so 70 agents total that came through your 21 agents. You know, that's also, and also capping and icon, and was a full-time nurse. I just hope I'm doing this for me too. It's like,
Yeah.
slap me in the face if I think I don't have enough time to do all this stuff, because you're running circles around me and everyone. So what do you say to that person that says, oh, I don't want to attract, that's not for me, or whatever? What do you say to that person?
I think you're missing a big opportunity, especially now. EXP has a pretty good reputation. Like, it, a lot of top producers are looking at the model, and if they really take the time to like sit down and plug in the numbers, it makes sense. So I think, you know, as an investor, I get more excited for my rev share than my $40,000 commissions from last week. Like it's just because that was passive. I didn't really have to do much except give value to my organization, which is what I do every week. I have a mastermind every 8 p.m. on Mondays. That's what I do every single week with my organization. And I'm always giving, for 1 hour, I'm giving tips, strategies that what I do, whether working with buyers, sellers, buyer presentations, seller presentations, social media masterminds, you name it, Bizbos, scripts, everything. We cover it all in the Zoom masterminds. But yeah, rev share is amazing. I think, especially where this business is planning to go to 1 million agents. Like EXP New Jersey only has like 3,200 agents, and there's about 70,000 realtors in New Jersey. So there's still so much opportunity.
There's huge opportunity. You know, EXP is only 89,000 agents right now, you know, and when Doug and I joined, it was less than 700. You know, and you're right. It's a great model for every agent. So but I think you'll also agree that sometimes if you don't have sales coming in, that money's still coming in, right?
Yeah.
And you just can't have too much money coming in. I mean, you can, I know that sounds funny, but you could always do something with that. That could be, you know, a certain fund to go do this or whatever, and or have it towards your, you know, travel or education, or, you know, for your business or whatever you want to do with. But do you find, so you don't find that you're hassling agents by talking to them about it? You find that you're really coming from contribution, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I never really try to spit out EXP stock, rev share, this and that. Like, I really come to people on a very spiritual level. I just really try to build a connection. And what I do is I was like, hey, I really value you. I think we would be good partners. This organization I have is just share ideas, and I think you're a good fit for us. And I just keep inviting them to events, and eventually it will click. So I think if anything, I'm doing a disservice by not reaching out to them, because had I not reached out to some of the agents I have in my organization, they're paying KW, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000 just staying what they're at, versus coming to EXP. There's some of them are hitting icon. And now that mom that has 2 kids is saving $40,000 and spending more time with her husband, and now can give back to her children. Yeah. So had I not made that phone call.
Yeah, it's a little bit being selfish by not talking about it, kind of.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about icon. So explain what that is for anybody that doesn't know.
So for those that don't know what icon is, it's when you hit your cap, EXP gets $16,000. And then after that, you do 20 transactions. You get charged $250 per transaction. And once that equals $5,000, you hit your icon award, which you get this cool trophy. And the best part is you get the $16,000 you paid your broker back into company stock.
Okay, wait. Trophy's pretty, but what was that last? I actually don't even keep mine, because I don't want to think about it. I want to always be thinking forward. But what'd you say? What was the last part you said about 16,000?
You get your $16,000 cap that you paid your broker back into company stock. which the cool part is when I hit Icon, the stock was trading at $10 a share. So that $16,000, I don't know what the stock is today. It's like $22. So it's 2x a little bit. So that $16,000 has now become like what, 34,000. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, currently right now it's 22.20, and it goes up and down. But the fact is, the very basic simple thing is, you're an agent. You're going to be selling anyway, so why not get a lower cap at EXP of 16,000, and then when you do the 20 transactions on top of that, and they may not be total 20. If you split in a deal with somebody, then you need to do more than that. But once you reach that $5,000 in cap fees, why not get a $16,000 in stock? It's just like such a no-brainer. And I really don't know why more people don't go after it. And I think a lot of people think maybe it's unattainable, but if you're really in this business full time, you're going to do that amount of transactions anyway. So why not get more bang for the buck, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing I encounter is that other agents fear of change is scary. I've had agents that are like so ready to join tomorrow, and then they're just scared for change. So change is scary. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, change is change, but I believe this: change brings growth and growth brings change, and if you stay doing the same thing all the time, you're just going to keep getting the same thing, but you're not going to get anything different unless you make those changes. What about an assistant or a VA? Do you use either one of those?
That's probably the one part of my business that I'm struggling. I know every top agent has a VA or ISA or some kind of assistant. That's the part where I'm really trying to find it. I was going to try a VA from outside the country, but I just wasn't super happy with the service. I saw my buddy had the service and just the response. So that's the one thing I do have to work on for 2024 and this following year, is finding some kind of help to better manage my business. So that's the one thing I struggle with.
So that was going to be my next question, but so if people don't know this, if you're newer in the business, a VA stands for virtual assistant, and it's an independent third party, and there are companies nationwide, worldwide. You can get them less expensive and from other countries, but it may not be what you want. But there's all kinds of levels. Actually, I had a VA. I was one of the first people I know that had a VA. This is back in 2004 and 5, and it was extremely expensive per hour. What I paid this VA, it was like $30 an hour back then, but I was only billed in the increments of the time used. So, if I needed a flyer, she was in Mississippi at the time, and then her husband was in the services, and she'd be all over the world, but she would create my flyer, and then she would send it to Kinko's, and it'd be printed for me, and I could go pick it up on my way to my open house. And it only took like 15 minutes. So only it billed 15 minutes of $30. And, but the VA is a virtual assistant, and ISA is an inside sales agent. If people don't know that terminology. So that was going to be my next question: is what do you struggle with? What's your challenge?
I guess I have the coach at Tom Ferry, and they're telling me to get a VA, this and that. So that's probably what I'm going to be working on now. It's to find that help, so the day-to-day stuff can be leveraged off to someone else.
Do you use a transaction coordinator?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and the thought process behind all of this is, whatever you can pay for something to be done in your business, I think everybody needs to know their dollar worth, and that's easy to figure by what's your commission, and it's usually gross commission, but you can do net if you want, and how many hours you spent to get that. That's your hourly pay. And if you can pay for something a whole lot less for a service in your business, then you should be doing that, because your dollar per hour is worth more doing other things, which is lead generating and going on appointments and closing deals. So Jesse put in a question: do you use any specific calendar or app for your time blocking schedule?
I just use Google Calendar. It works with everything, with Eventbrite, meetup.com, any emails. So Google Calendar, that's where I time block everything. And I have a second calendar. It's called, let me see, Calendarly or something. That one's just for my working. Awesome Cal. That's
Awesome.
one. Awesome Cal, CAL. That one is for just because I think it's too much to have. I'm really big into fitness, so that I put my daily workout there, how many calories I burned that day, my daily goal, my weight that day. So that's I use that one calendar just for fitness stuff.
To keep track of it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we had any more questions, but that tells me I did a good job of coming up with questions. I like to think that. If anybody has any more questions, we got just a few more minutes before we reach the hour. And I just think that, you're just so inspiring to us that, oh, I know what one question I've got. I know what it is, but explain what Bigger Pockets is.
Bigger Pockets is a real estate podcast for real estate investing. Really good, especially if you go back from like the very beginning, back in 2008, 2009 is when they started the podcast. If you go back to the early episodes, those are the ones that are really give good value. The ones now are good, but sometimes they're just too advanced for people that are brand new to real estate. So go into it. I mean, I was listening to Bigger Pockets back in 2016, 2017. So I got to see the founder of the podcast, Josh Dorkin and Brandon Turner, grow with the podcast as I was growing with my real estate career. So it's a really good podcast. Now David Green's the host. He's a great guy too. I met him 2 weeks ago at the Limitless event at the Financial Freedom Expo. So, and that's why I go to these events to be with people like him.
Right. And because who you surround yourself with matters, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's, I mean, so true. Is there a cost for the Bigger Pockets?
Just the podcast itself is free. There is the pro membership, and I forgot the other one's name, but I think it's like $100 a month. So you don't have to start off with the membership. I honestly just listening to the podcast every day, turn your car into a mobile university. Every time I'm in my car, I try not to listen to music. I try to just, whether it's Bigger Pockets, Ryan Pineda, there's a whole bunch of podcasts on being a realtor and all that stuff. I just try to consume as much knowledge as I can.
No, that's very true.
I do have something that I do want to add.
Oh, sure.
So for me, because I do love reading, these are the books I recommend. It's a lot of books, but I guess the few books I do recommend is like Think and Grow Rich. Super good book. I read the book back in 2016. A lot of the stuff that I wrote down in this book that I wanted to happen did happen. And it's because I felt like I manifested a lot of the stuff. I believe in manifestation, waking up, gratitude journal, everything. To get creative with finding deals, or I think in real estate, you need to be a believer. You have to have faith. And Ryan Serhant, Seller Like Serhant, he's one of the brokers from New York, top broker in New York. And this book is really awesome because he finds clients at the gym. I mean, I have like 6 gym memberships, and the reason I keep them is because I actually get leads from all of them.
Very good point.
It's just so many books. The One Thing by Gary Keller. And for those that are interested in investing in real estate, Set for Life by Scott Drench. He's the CEO of Bigger Pockets. This is a great book to get started. Just really kind of building that initial game plan to getting started with real estate investing. So Set for Life. And then just some classics, is The Compound Effect. I know I'm going into a tangent, but especially with building a rev share organization, I believe once you get to a certain number of agents, it starts growing on its own. So why not try to recruit 10 agents? And out of those 10 agents, what if the one person you recruit becomes like a Mike Sherrard or someone like yourself or myself that could bring on you? I don't know how many agents you have, like 1,600, 1,700. So
1,650.
Oh, wow. That is goals.
Of which you're 70 are part of that. And, and we're part of Dave Gagnon's, 5,500 or whatever he has. But
yeah,
and I often think, what if he didn't call me? What if I didn't know him at all? He was on the East Coast. I was on the West Coast. He just knew that I was a manager of a Keller Williams office, and he got a hold of me. But what if he hadn't called me? Or what if the next day he was making his calls and he skipped the K's and went to the L's? How long would it have taken me to know about EXP, and how long would I not have accumulated all the things that I have because of the business and the model and everything. Thank you for sharing those books, because I think reading is so important, even if you're just reading 30 minutes a day. I've got an app called Blinkist that summarizes books, and every morning it sends me a text basically, and I just click on it and read it for 20-30 minutes basically, and it's a reminder. So Curtis put in a question: what are a few best practices for utilizing YouTube for building your brand?
I actually am not too heavy on YouTube.
Okay.
I do use YouTube for my listings. So I do post some of my listings on YouTube, and it gets a good amount of exposure, especially using the hashtags. I'm right next to New York City, so I try to take advantage of the New Yorkers that are coming into Bergen County.
Sure. So we're almost to the hour here, and I just want to remind everybody that we're doing these monthly mindset calls, same time every month, third Wednesday at this time. And if you're those that are in our organization, in Magnetic Wealth Experts of our group, you receive an email. A lot of people don't get the email because it goes into their spam, including myself. Our emails go into my own spam. So tell everyone in your group to look into their spam to make sure it's not going in there, but it is the same time every third Wednesday. And right before this call in the hour, we do a call for brand new agents that are joining EXP so that we can share different things with them and everything. But anything else, Michael, you want to add that we haven't covered?
No, I mean, I keep my goals down pretty closely to me. So in my wallet, I have my goals down, and I think it's very important for everyone. Write down your goals. If you could do it daily, great. But I also keep it in this little tab sheet that I have, and I have 1,000. I write it in the present tense because I think it's very powerful to write it in the present tense. I have 1,000 agents in my rev share organization. I don't know if I'm going to hit this goal by December 31st of 2023, but the fact that I wrote it down, it's even if I come a little short of my goal or a good amount, like it helps me very reliable. And it's July right now. There's no, what if I meet with Mike Sherrard tomorrow and he brings 1,000 agents for me? Like then I hit my goal. So I try not to think that it won't happen. I just say, how can it happen? And then my other goal is to sell 25 million for 2023 and some other stuff. So
and you're on your second icon stretch, right?
Yeah, October 1st is when I have to get my 20 deals in.
And how close are you?
It's getting there.
It's a stressful market. It's not like a norm, but the point is like you said, even with the reaching 1,000, it may not happen when you're wanting it to right now, but you've got to think that, and it will happen, and you're closer to it, even if it's on a broader scale. It doesn't happen by a certain date, just by writing it down and carrying it where you see it, or posting it where you see it. I love your background there. You pointed out to get 1% better every day.
Thank you.
It's just that's amazing, because over a month, 6 months, a year, that goes by so quick. And if we can improve whatever we're doing, I hope. Does anybody else have any other questions before we wrap up here? I think this has been amazing, and my takeaway is, if you can do it, I can do it. And it's just. You've given such great tips, and I just want everybody to know that Magnetic Wealth Experts, that's our group, and it's magneticwealthexperts.com. You can go there and see a lot of things. If you're attracting someone to EXP, you can show that of all the things we're doing. We're going to put a lot of free content that we're collecting from other sites as well, scripts, dialogues, all kinds of things on there for you as well. And then our workplace group, Magnetic Wealth Experts, we're building that. We'll post this video to there as well, and other things too. So, all right. Yeah, everybody says thank you. Lots of takeaways. All right. So I'm going to put down a year from now, we're going to do this again to see where you've gone in 1 year. And I hope everybody really takes to heart what he said. And thank you, Michael, for this. I really appreciate you doing it. And I'll see you.
Yeah. See you in Vegas. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.